Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ansley and I'm an American girl who's been living in Norway for the last couple of years. Usually my channel is about life in Norway, immigrating to Scandinavia, and just traveling around Europe. But today I thought I would shake things up a little bit, and instead we're going to be reacting to one of Norway's cultural phenomenon TV shows called SKAM. Now for context, SKAM aired back in 2015 and is mainly about a group of high school girls living in Oslo, navigating life as a teenager in the big city, along with all of the drama that comes with it. It's basically the Norwegian version of Euphoria before Euphoria was a thing. SKAM was an instant hit in Norway and also with international audiences. And I think a big part of the reason why is because of how different the high school experience is for Norwegian kids in the city than it is for any other teenager in the entire world going to high school. The show, in fact, even inspired countless spin-offs. I mean, there's a SKAM France, a SKAM Germany, and even a SKAM USA. I think in total 8 different countries made their own version of SKAM, but of course the original is the best. Now, I think SKAM didn't really get the same cult following as it did in Europe, in the USA, just because of how different the teenager experience is for kids living in Norway and Europe as a whole versus teenagers in the United States. But I think that's why it's one of these untapped gems in a way that really has a deep dive into the Norwegian culture from a high schooler perspective. But coming from someone who has lived in Norway for years, gone to school here, and even participated in Rus in high school, I just really wanted to introduce the world to this cultural phenomenon TV show of SKAM as it enters its 10-year anniversary. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the first half of season 1, break down all of the stuff that happened, talk about how realistic I think it is, and give you some of my opinions as an American who has lived in Norway for a little bit. So without further ado, let's watch SKAM. Now we start the show by being introduced to Eva, who has just started her first year at a new high school with her boyfriend Jonas. Now we quickly come to realize that apart from Jonas, Eva doesn't really have any friends at this new high school, but she does have some unexplained tensions with one of the popular girls, Ingrid, and we're not really sure why. Since poor Eva doesn't really have any friends at this new high school and it's making her feel pretty down, when the theater kids corner her at school and invite her to a school party, she reluctantly agrees and decides that she's gonna go socialize and try to make some friends who hopefully aren't as intense as the theater kids.
Vi hamrer till vi jamrer, vi sager till vi klager, vi måler till vi skåler, vi maler till vi maler som en katt.
And of course, this party for 16-year-old first-year high school students is happening at a bar/club because we're in Norway. Well, at this party, Eva runs into the popular girl Ingrid, who is being a little tense towards her at school, and she goes over to say hi.
En gang så må vi nødt til å prate sammen. Ingrid, savner deg.
We later find out that Eva and Ingrid were best friends in middle school, but when Eva goes to try to reconnect, she gets shut down pretty quickly by Ingrid.
Jeg ville droppet den eyelineren hvis jeg var deg. Ser ut som en slut.
Since things with Ingrid don't appear to be going that well, Eva makes her way around the party and meets a couple key characters who are going to eventually form the main core girl group of the TV show moving forward. This is Nora, Vilda, and Chris. Now, the next day after the party, we get a bit more insight into Eva's home life. Apparently, her mother just got a new job and is often traveling for work, so Eva spends most of her days living at home alone, and her mother is only home every 2 weeks or so. We also see that Eva is still lying to her mother about being friends with Ingrid for some reason. Instead of telling her mom the truth that she's been planning on going on a cabin trip with her boyfriend Jonas and some of his friends, she instead lies and makes it sound like she's going on a girls trip with Ingrid and their friends.
Jeg skal jo på hyttetur I morgen, på hytten til Ingrid, med Ingrid og Sarah.
So there's definitely something weird going on here, and we're not really sure what it is, but it seems like Eva doesn't really have any friends to talk to, and she can't even talk to her own mom. I just thought that this was a super unique thing compared to American teenagers and high school students. Just the fact that in Norway, it seems like, at least in this TV show, it's not uncommon for 16-year-old kids to be left alone a lot of the time at home. Sometimes they're just living 100% independently in their own apartments. I have personally known some people who they lived at home, but their family had a guest house or they had a basement apartment situation. So it was basically like they were living on their own at a very young age. and it's not uncommon to have dorms or even to have apartments in the city where you just live with other students. But that would never happen in the US. Everybody lives at home with their parents until they go off to college. I really have never heard of some 16-year-old kid just getting their own apartment in the city to go to high school. It's a very foreign idea to me, but in these TV shows at least, it seems like the kids grow up a lot faster and start living independently at a very young age. But anyway, Eva goes on the cabin trip with Jonas and his friend Isaac and kind of ends up third wheeling the entire time. On top of not getting the attention that she wants from her boyfriend, Jonas is also behaving really suspicious with his phone and text messages.
Hvem det?
Eva gets super paranoid about all this and ends up asking Jonas's friend Isaac who he's been texting.
Hva greien med Jonas og Ingrid egentlig?
Du får spørre Jonas.
And Isaac lets it slip that he's been texting Eva's ex-best friend Ingrid during the cabin trip.
Driver du tekster?
Kanskje litt.
Obviously, Eva is upset, so she confronts Jonas about the entire thing and they have this massive fight at the cabin.
Hvorfor du så sur hele tiden?
Jeg sur, for du oppfører deg helt dust. Du driver og tekster masse med Ingrid bak ryggen min, selv om du vet at hun var et jævlig bitch mot meg.
Ingrid, jeg går ikke bak ryggen din og snakker med Ingrid.
They eventually make up, but tensions are still running pretty high moving forward. After the cabin trip, Eva goes back to school and meets up with the girl group that she was introduced to at the school party the first week of school. The group of girls, which now include Eva, Nora, Vilda, Chris, and a new girl, Sana, all decide that they want to meet up after school and start planning for their senior year Rus party bus situation.
Vi skal lage verdens feteste russebuss.
Now, this is a very Norwegian concept, and if you've never lived here or learned about Norway, you might be completely confused as to what this is. Rus is a lot of different things, but essentially it is a period of time in a Norwegian high schooler's life during their senior year in their last semester ever, where they do a lot of partying, activities, dressing up really fun, and even renting party buses, which they call their Rus buses. It's a really important thing for a lot of Norwegian high schoolers to have the best partying experience of all time when they become seniors. And the planning starts even when you're a first year in high school to save up money for your party bus, decorate it, get all of the best popular kids to come to your party, and really build your social status going into your senior year. So our group of girls decide that they want to start strategizing, fundraising, and even getting sponsors to help them buy their own party bus so that when they're seniors, they can have the best experience of all time. But unfortunately, these girls aren't exactly the most popular kids in school. In fact, they're the self-proclaimed biggest losers in the entire school.
Hør nå, vi de største loserne på skolen. Og med mindre dere vil at vi skal ende opp i en loser-van, så må vi ha en strategi.
So getting on board with the popular kids to come to their party and even raise money is going to be a challenge. But this is basically the crux of the overarching plot or motivations for the girl group to stick together for the remainder of the show, which is that they all have the common goal of making their senior year of high school the best experience of all time. So they band together, strategize on a way to move up the social hierarchy at the school, raise money with the goal of having the best rusbus of all time. Phase one of their plan is rather simple. All they need to do is flirt with the senior year high school guys, get invited to one of their parties, and then use that as social leverage to get in with the popular girls to move up the social hierarchy themselves.
Men aller først må vi skaffe oss noe vi ikke har. Kledd. Da må vi finne ut hvem av 97-erne som har den beste bussen, komme oss på et bussvors, og skaffe rulleplasser.
What could go wrong? All right, well, problem number one. They do end up flirting with some of the senior guys and do get invited to one of the high school parties.
Gjett hvem som inviterer på bussfors med penetrator gutteflottet.
Tuller du?
Det sant? Eva! Herregud, du har fikset det for oss!
But when they get there, the other group of popular girls, including Eva's ex-best friend Ingrid, are already at the party, so things right off the bat are rather tense.
Hva gjør de her?
Problem number two, at the party, one of the girls, Vilda, ends up hooking up with the most popular boy in school, William.
Hvem William?
Han den kjekkeste, kuleste i hele 3. klasse.
Only problem is that afterwards he ends up ghosting her, it breaks her heart, and then they kind of ruin their chances of getting in with the popular boys moving forward because of this whole situation.
Hør nå, Einstein. William ikke interessert.
Jeg vet ikke om du har hørt om en bok som heter The Game, men det å ikke svare er faktisk en strategi gutter bruker for å få jenter mer interessert.
Hadde jeg vært deg, hadde jeg lagt fra meg The Game og begynt å lese He's Just Not That Into You.
And problem number 3, because they go to this senior boys' high school party, Eva completely forgets that she was supposed to actually be at a family dinner with Jonas and her mother, where she was going to introduce them to each other for the first time.
Hva er greia med deg?
Det er ikke noe greie med meg.
Du er ikke sur for at jeg glemte avtalen, liksom?
Nei. Det driter jeg.
Ok, så bra.
Bra.
Fint.
So because of this, and on top of already not really trusting him because he's been going behind her back texting her ex-best friend, things are just in a really rough place for Jonas and Eva right now. So because of this relationship drama between Eva and Jonas, Eva feels like she needs to get out of her head and decides to go to a different party the following week because tensions are still high between her and her boyfriend. Now, this is where things get super juicy, right? So at the party, Eva's still feeling pretty down, pretty untrusting of Jonas because of all of this stuff that's been going on. And then at the party, she sees Ingrid. So what does she do? She decides she's going to go up and confront Ingrid and ask point blank, were you with my boyfriend Jonas?
Var du sammen med Jonas forrige fredag?
And of course, Ingrid confirms her worst fears by saying yes, they were together, and yes, he did lie about it then.
Forrige fredag? Ja, den var jeg med Jonas, ja.
So obviously, Eva has a complete mental breakdown over this. She's crying, she's a mess, and she ends up kissing one of the popular senior boys at the party. After all of this, Eva goes home, she meets up with Jonas, and turns out Ingrid was lying about the whole thing. Yeah, they were together, but he was actually just meeting up with her brother to get some marijuana, and he didn't want to reveal the truth to Eva because she doesn't like him smoking.
Greia at broren til Ingrid han selger. Det var derfor jeg var hos broren til Ingrid forrige fredag for å kjøpe. Poenget mitt at det ikke noe mellom meg og Ingrid. Og det kommer heller aldri til å bli noe.
So nothing actually ever happened between them, and now Eva has this massive guilt weighing over her that she's actually the one who cheated by kissing the senior boy Christopher at the party. And this is really bad because if Jonas or Christopher's girlfriend ever find out that the two of them kiss, it would be devastating for Eva. So yeah, that was the first 6 episodes of Scam, and oh my gosh, so much has happened already. We have Eva and Jonas, the star-crossed lovers whose relationship is a real roller coaster from the get-go. And then we have the ex-best friend Ingrid, who has this mysterious hostility toward Eva, and it's a real mystery as to why. Then we also have the rest of our supporting cast, which includes the gang of misfit girl losers who are just trying to move up the social hierarchy and ensure that they have the best senior year experience ever when the time comes. And then of course the popular boys from the social clique called the Penetrators, real classy. And this includes the most popular boy in school, William, and now the one that Eva just kissed, Christopher. So yeah, it's a lot of things to keep track of and a lot of mingling relationships. So why don't we just break it all down and make it nice and simple for everyone? All right, so we have our conspiracy board here, and this is what we have to start off with, okay? Our 3 characters. We start the show where we have Eva and Jonas, who are in a relationship, and then we have Ingrid, who used to be best friends with Eva in middle school, but now they are enemies. Now we are also introduced to Jonas's best friend Isaac, who is also friends with Eva, because they are all sort of mutual friends at this point since Ingrid and Eva are no longer speaking. Then we also have Eva's 4 girlfriends, so we'll have them here. We have first of all Nora, then we also have the second girl that she meets, Vilda, and then last but not least we have Chris and her friend Sona. But I think for now we're going to mainly focus on Vilda and Nora because they're the ones who have some kind of plot going on. Now we bring the popular boys into the mix, which we have popular boy in school William, and then we also have popular boy Christopher. We'll put William next to Vilda because, as we know, they have a fling going on after the party, and we can put Christopher here as well because he has a thing kind of going on with Eva. So here's where we're at. About midway through the season, we have Eva and Jonas are still in a couple. We have the friends here, and we have Vilda and William who have hooked up. We then have the Halloween party where Eva gets with Christopher. So now it's getting a little entangled on the conspiracy board. So we got a bit of a triangle going on here, except wait. We then have the girlfriend of Christopher introduced, Eben. So we have to add her on here as well. And I think this is then where we leave off the first half of season 1. So we've got Jonas and Eva in a relationship. Eva and Christopher have kissed. Christopher and Eben are in a relationship. Vilde and William are in a situationship, but he's starting to cut her off. And now we have some unofficially decided relationships here. We have the best friendship between Jonas and Isak and the similar friendship between Isak and Eva. We also have Ingrid, who is the ostracized ex-best friend of Eva, who we're not sure what is the background on that falling out. And this is basically the result of the relationship board halfway through season 1. Now that we have a clearer picture of all of the relationship drama going on so far into season 1, I think we can continue on our breakdown of the rest of the show. The show's premise is one thing, but even the way that the show was created was really unique. Rather than airing full-on episodes all of the time, instead the showrunners would air these like 5 to 10 minute segments of clips from the show throughout the entire week at the timestamp it said that the show was supposed to be happening. It was basically creating this illusion that you were seeing a live stream into the lives of these characters, whether they were at school or at home or wherever. And you also never knew when the clips were going to be airing, so you constantly had to be checking NRK to see when the next update for SKAM was going to be coming out, because it could come out at any time. And then at the end of every week, the showrunners would put all the clips together into a full-on episode and air it so you could watch it all at once. On top of that, they even created these social media profiles for all of the characters. They were posting Instagram photos, Facebook posts, there were text message leaks between the different characters, so it was really building up this hype and making it seem so hyper-realized, this world of SKAM that Norway had created. Another thing that I think made the show very successful is how instead of just following all of the different characters at once, each season would focus on one of the main girls in the group and follow her season arc. So you always got very attached to one of the girls throughout every single season. Some of the drama that these kids would get into is super juicy. I mean, it was insane for the time. There's violence, there's partying, there's underage drinking, there's relationship drama, family drama, you name it. It's really easy to see why this show was such a smashing success from the get-go. The episodes are only 15 to 20 minutes long, and it's just impressive how much drama and violence and relationship craziness they managed to fit into such a small amount of time. It really portrays Norwegian teenagers in a light that makes it seem like they just party all the time, they have no responsibilities really when it comes to school or family, they're completely independent, and there's just so much drama happening to them all the time. It's really crazy. And I think to a certain extent, some of that is true. Like I said before, I have known Norwegian kids who in high school, they lived in these private basement apartments under their parents' home, or even people I've known who've lived in dorms with other students as their roommates. So kids do get pretty independent from a very early age, and it doesn't necessarily start with college the way it does in the United States. I also agree that the partying culture in Norway is a lot more intense, especially in Oslo. I mean, the drinking age here for kids is 18, which is the age you are when you graduate high school. So of course, this rus period for the seniors in high school is such a big deal because it's the first time they're legally able to drink. They've been saving up money for their entire 3 years in high school to buy one of these party buses, and all they want to do is just celebrate being done with high school and moving on with their lives, and a good way to do that for them is partying. But on the flip side, there is a lot of toxicity around it. I think there's a lot of underage drinking because of the fact that you can start drinking at 18 here, and it is such a big cultural thing to do the partying the senior year. There is also a lot of pressure to contribute economically into these party buses from your very first year of high school. I mean, kids spend years, literal years, planning how they're going to spend their senior year, and there is a lot of peer pressure to contribute to that. But it is really dramatic. I mean, even in the show, we see that the girl Vilde was kicked out of the popular girl group. We're pretty sure off screen, but that kind of ruins her chances of having this ruse experience that she has probably fantasized about her entire upbringing. But obviously, everything in the show needs to be taken with a little bit grain of salt because it is fictional and over dramatized just to get all of the viewership in. If you're interested in seeing what happens next, I recommend you stick around and watch part 2 of season 1 in my next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. It was really fun doing something new, reviewing this SKAM TV show. It's very addicting and I'm having a great time watching it. So without further ado, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.